In the early 1960s, American cars were a reflection of the country's growing affluence, with vehicles that seemed more like luxury suites on wheels than tools for transportation. The roads were full of massive sedans and chrome-laden behemoths, cars built for comfort, not performance. Gas was dirt cheap, and driving was more about cruising along endless highways than about speed, agility, or cornering prowess. The cars were designed for comfort, offering ample space for families, and the focus was on size. The average car buyer wasn't particularly concerned with thrill. They just wanted a reliable, spacious vehicle that could serve their daily needs. In this environment where bigger seemed to be better, the idea of a small, sporty, affordable car seemed almost absurd. Yet, a new generation was emerging with a different perspective. A generation that sought something more than mere size. They wanted style, individuality, and fun. For the under-30 crowd, cars were no longer just about practicality. They craved something that spoke to their lifestyle, something that reflected their desire for freedom, adventure, and personality. But as the American car industry continued to focus on the needs of the status quo, this younger demographic was being left out. Ford realized that there was an unfilled niche in the market, a gap waiting to be filled with something new, something that would speak to the younger, more rebellious buyers. Ford's own cars, like the Falcon, while reliable and practical, were dull and uninspiring. It was a reliable economy car, nothing special. On the other hand, the Thunderbird was a stylish and powerful vehicle, but it was priced out of reach for most young buyers. The American auto industry was missing the point. There was an untapped demand for a car that was stylish, sporty, and affordable. It needed to be a car that captured the imagination, that could be personalized and make a statement. It wasn't just about functionality. It was about emotion, about giving people a vehicle that they would feel passionate about owning. Ford saw an opportunity that the competition had missed. They could fill this gap by creating something that was affordable yet desirable, blending youthful energy with performance, all while keeping the price tag within reach. It was the perfect storm for a game-changing innovation. Lee Iacocca, a charismatic and bold Ford executive, recognized the changing landscape and took action. At just 39 years old, Iacocca wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo. He understood the emerging market, young buyers eager for something that reflected their values. Half of all car buyers were under 34, but there was nothing on the market that catered to them. When he pitched the idea to Henry Ford II, Iacocca argued that the company could take its existing platforms and turn them into something extraordinary. He envisioned a car that was small, agile, and stylish, but still affordable. A car that would evoke the spirit of European sports cars, but with an American touch. The idea was radical, and Henry Ford II was initially skeptical. He was more traditional, hesitant to embrace a new direction. But Iacocca, armed with statistics, a clear vision, and his infectious confidence, convinced Henry to approve the project. After months of persuasive discussions, Iacocca was granted approval, but with a strict deadline: 18 months to develop the car and a mandate to use existing parts from Ford's inventory. The pressure was on, but Iacocca and his team were determined to make it work. Ford's engineers and designers quickly set to work, starting with the Falcon's chassis. They knew they needed to make significant changes to transform the car into something special. They shortened the wheelbase by 10 inches, giving the car a sportier, more compact stance. The Mustang's design was led by Joe Oros, whose vision was to create a sleek, aggressive profile that screamed speed and performance, even when the car was standing still. He designed the long hood and short rear deck, which became one of the Mustang's most recognizable features. The engineers had to think creatively. They had a limited budget, so they reused parts wherever possible. They borrowed headlights from other models, painted their clay prototypes with house paint, and sourced parts from existing inventory. Despite the budget constraints, the team worked tirelessly to craft a car that would resonate with its target market. The car had to be beautiful and exciting, but also functional. It needed to be a car that could make an emotional connection with buyers. Iacocca's vision was coming to life piece by piece, and the Mustang was starting to take shape. The car had to be affordable, but the design was anything but ordinary. Ford had set the stage for something revolutionary, and the world was about to witness the birth of an icon. April 17, 1964, marked the day the Mustang was unveiled at the New York World's Fair, and it was no ordinary reveal. The Ford Pavilion, which housed the Mustang, stood at the center of the fair, drawing visitors from all over. Ford didn't just unveil the car, they created an event. Journalists were invited to the pavilion to witness the unveiling of a car that promised to change the automotive industry forever. The Mustang was shown in a theatrical fashion, with the car's sleek aerodynamic shape covered in a cloth, building suspense. When the covers were pulled back, the reaction was immediate and electric. The Mustang had an undeniable presence, and it captured the attention of everyone in the room. It was everything that the industry had been missing: stylish, compact, and sporty, with a price tag that made it accessible to a younger audience. Ford didn't stop at just the unveiling. They had Mustangs ready for sale that same day. No waiting lists, no pre-orders, just cars on the showroom floor, ready to be driven off. The reaction was overwhelming. Within hours, 22,000 orders were placed. By the end of the year, Ford had sold 418,812 Mustangs, breaking all records for a new model. It wasn't just a sales success, it was a cultural phenomenon. The Mustang's immediate success sent shockwaves through the automotive world. Competitors who had dismissed the idea of a sporty, affordable car for younger buyers were now scrambling to catch up. Chevrolet quickly launched the Camaro to compete with the Mustang, while Dodge introduced the Charger. Even Plymouth, with their Barracuda, faced an uphill battle. The Mustang had sparked the pony car wars, a battle for dominance in the muscle car segment. Ford's marketing strategy was genius, using radio, television, and print ads to promote the Mustang. The car was everywhere, and it became a symbol of youth, freedom, and rebellion. Ford had found a way to connect with the public on an emotional level, and the Mustang became a part of American culture. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement, a way to express individuality. As the Mustang became more popular, it transcended its status as a mere vehicle. It became an icon of an entire generation. The advertising budget skyrocketed, and Ford was determined to keep the Mustang's presence strong in the market. They had created something that wasn't just functional. It was desired, it was wanted, and it was everywhere. The Mustang didn't just sell cars. It sold an idea, a lifestyle. Steve McQueen's role in the 1968 film Bullitt, where he drove a Mustang through the streets of San Francisco, further cemented the car's cool factor. It wasn't just the rebellious youth who were drawn to the Mustang. It appealed to everyone. From business professionals to grandmothers, the Mustang attracted a diverse following. It was the epitome of freedom, individuality, and youthful exuberance. Songs like Mustang Sally made it a cultural touchstone, while the car's design became synonymous with style and performance. The Mustang wasn't just a car for young buyers. It was a car for anyone who wanted to feel the excitement of the open road. It became a statement of independence, embodying the American spirit of adventure. Whether it was racing down highways, showing it off at car meets, or simply cruising with friends, the Mustang became a symbol of freedom. It wasn't just about the car, it was about the feeling it gave you. An escape, an adventure, a chance to live life on your terms. Before the Mustang, the automotive industry was focused on practicality, engineering efficiency, and maximizing passenger space. After the Mustang's success, everything changed. Car manufacturers began to realize that cars weren't just about utility, they were about identity, emotion, and connection. The Mustang proved that a car could be aspirational, something more than a tool for transportation. Product designers began asking new questions. What is the story we want to tell? And who is this car really for? They understood that a car could be more than just metal and wheels. It could be a symbol, a reflection of personal values. The success of the Mustang inspired an entire industry to rethink its approach to car design. The market for performance cars exploded, and manufacturers began introducing new segments from muscle cars to luxury sedans, all with a focus on style and emotion. Ford had shown the way, and the rest of the industry was eager to follow. As the Mustang became a sensation, the entire automotive industry was forced to pay attention. The impact was felt not only by Ford's competitors, but by the broader consumer market. For years, Detroit had focused primarily on family sedans and practicality. But now, with the success of the Mustang, it was clear that there was a market for vehicles that appealed to the emotional side of car buyers. The Mustang was more than just a machine. It was a way for people to express themselves, their individuality, and their freedom. It represented the spirit of the American dream, accessible, affordable, and exhilarating. Every car brand, from General Motors to Chrysler, realized that they had to respond or risk falling behind in the rapidly changing automotive world. Chevrolet was one of the first to react. The Camaro was born from a desperate desire to match Ford's runaway success. The Camaro's design borrowed heavily from the Mustang, creating the foundation for the pony car wars. Dodge quickly followed with the Charger, while Plymouth rushed to overhaul the Barracuda. These brands scrambled to keep up with the Mustang's success, launching new models in a bid to capture the attention of young, enthusiastic buyers. This competition led to a series of muscle cars that defined the era, cars that were fast, powerful, and designed to excite the driver. Meanwhile, Ford wasn't sitting still. They continued to push the Mustang's boundaries, constantly innovating and tweaking its design to keep it fresh. The car's marketing was omnipresent, dominating television, radio, and print media. Ford poured money into advertising, ensuring that the Mustang's image was deeply embedded in the public consciousness. From catchy jingles to high-energy commercials, every form of media was used to promote the car. The message was clear. The Mustang was the car of the people. It was sporty, stylish, and most importantly, affordable. The Mustang had successfully captured the hearts and imaginations of consumers across the country. It wasn't just the young buyers who were drawn to the Mustang. It resonated with all demographics. Middle-aged professionals, parents, even grandparents saw something in the Mustang that they had never seen in a car before. The Mustang's appeal wasn't just about speed and style, it was about freedom. For the first time, a car allowed people to experience a sense of adventure and excitement that had previously been reserved for more expensive, exotic vehicles. The Mustang wasn't just a way to get from point A to point B. It was a vehicle that opened up the world. It was about chasing the horizon, feeling the wind in your hair, and experiencing life in a way that had never been possible in a car before. But the Mustang's impact didn't stop at the American border. Lee Iacocca, recognizing the global potential of the car, pushed to make the Mustang a worldwide phenomenon. Ford began shipping knockdown kits to other countries, allowing local assembly plants to put together Mustangs abroad. The car quickly found success in South Africa, where it became a symbol of status and luxury. In Australia, right-hand drive versions were imported and modified for local buyers, despite the lack of an official factory. The Mustang was becoming more than just an American car. It was a global icon. Even in Germany, where another company had already claimed the Mustang name, Ford managed to launch the T5, a version of the Mustang that was well received. The Mustang's design and reputation resonated far beyond the United States, making it a true international sensation. By the time the 1970s arrived, the Mustang had already established itself as a cultural icon. But as the decade unfolded, the car industry found itself facing new challenges. The oil crisis of the early 1970s led to soaring gas prices and a shift in consumer priorities. The powerful V8 engines that had made the Mustang so popular were suddenly seen as impractical. Environmental concerns and stricter emissions regulations added further pressure. Car buyers, now more concerned with fuel efficiency, began turning away from the big, powerful cars that had dominated the previous decade. Ford had to adapt. The Mustang, once a symbol of power and performance, needed to evolve to meet these new realities. In 1974, Ford introduced the Mustang II, a smaller, more fuel-efficient version of the original. While it wasn't as powerful or as stylish as the original Mustang, the Mustang II sold well during the gas crisis. It was more economical, which appealed to buyers who were now focused on fuel economy. However, many enthusiasts were disappointed with the downsized Mustang. They felt that Ford had sacrificed the car's soul, the very elements that had made it an icon. The Mustang II didn't have the same aggressive stance, the same performance edge. It was seen as a compromise, a response to market demands that many purists rejected. Still, it kept the Mustang name alive during a difficult period in the automotive world. The 1970s were a challenging time for the Mustang. The oil crisis, coupled with increasing environmental regulations, changed the way consumers viewed performance cars. But despite the setbacks, Ford refused to let the Mustang fade into obscurity. By 1979, Ford introduced a completely new platform for the Mustang, the Fox body design. The new platform was lighter and more modern, with improved handling and performance. The 5.0-liter V8, which had become synonymous with the Mustang, returned, providing the power that fans had missed during the Mustang II years. The Fox body Mustang became a hit with buyers, and it marked the beginning of a new chapter in the car's history. It proved that even in difficult times, the Mustang could adapt and thrive. The 1980s saw the resurgence of the Mustang as a performance car, but the vehicle had to evolve again. The market had changed, and Ford understood that in order to remain competitive, the Mustang needed to balance both performance and practicality. The 5.0-liter V8 engine was a significant part of the Mustang's comeback, and it became an emblem of the car's performance-focused spirit. But Ford also made improvements in other areas, such as handling and ride comfort, ensuring that the Mustang could compete with other cars in its class. The 5.0 Mustang became one of the most popular cars of the 1980s, solidifying the Mustang's place in automotive history. By the time the 1990s arrived, the Mustang was once again facing new challenges. The competition had grown fiercer, with newer models like the Chevrolet Camaro and Dodge Challenger offering strong competition in the muscle car segment. But once again, Ford refused to let the Mustang fade. In the 2000s, Ford began looking back at the Mustang's roots. They understood that the Mustang had become more than just a car. It was a symbol of American performance and culture. Ford decided to tap into the growing nostalgia for classic cars and launched a retro-inspired version of the Mustang in 2004. The new Mustang, while modern in its engineering, drew heavily on the design cues of the original 1965 model. The long hood, short rear deck, and aggressive stance were all there, but with modern upgrades like independent rear suspension and better handling. The retro Mustang was an instant success, both with longtime fans and new buyers. Sales soared, and the car quickly became a cultural phenomenon once again. It was proof that the Mustang had enduring appeal, and Ford had tapped into the spirit of the original while embracing modern performance standards. The success of the retro Mustang set off a wave of retro-inspired car designs across the automotive industry. Chevrolet revived the Camaro, Dodge brought back the Challenger, and other automakers followed suit. The Mustang had led the way, showing that sometimes looking back can be the best way to move forward. Ford had revived the Mustang and proved that the spirit of the original could still thrive in a modern world. The Mustang was now a symbol of both tradition and innovation, a car that could look to the past while embracing the future. The Mustang continues to evolve, constantly adapting to changing trends and consumer preferences. The current generation of Mustangs includes both the high-performance Shelby GT500 with a 760 horsepower engine and the electric Mustang Mach-E SUV, which represents Ford's move toward a more sustainable future. While some purists may resist the idea of an electric Mustang, it's clear that Ford is once again leading the way in the evolution of the muscle car. The Mach-E proves that the Mustang can evolve while still retaining its core values of performance, style, and innovation. Whether it's powered by a traditional V8 engine or an electric battery, the Mustang remains an iconic symbol of American automotive culture. It has stayed true to its roots while embracing the future, ensuring that the Mustang will continue to be relevant for generations to come.